Our next speaker will be familiar to everybody, Elias Jabbour, who has been working with us since the earliest days on this. As with Natalia, I have remarkably little information about him, so his stature is perhaps the inverse proportion of what I have to say about him. He is adjunct professor at the Faculty of Economic Sciences, postgraduate programs in economic sciences, and international relations at the State University of Rio de Janeiro. He is the co-author of a new book, Socialist Economic Development in the 21st Century.
Thanks, Rajika. Thanks, Alan. I believe that for the first time that I address this audience as a Brazilian, speaking about my country, our present challenges, and our future. I'm Brazilian. My father was born in Lebanon, was the man who transmitted to me an immense affection for my homeland. His love for my country, for our people, our culture, and our origins was primarily responsible for my approach to Marxism, and still in my adolescence to the Communist Party of Brazil, which I'm very proud to be a militant and member of its Central Committee. There is an open and deep wound in the heart of the Brazilian homeland from the 2016 Cup to the present day. In fact, the 2016 Cup was much more than a coup d'etat. It was the beginning of a civilizational setback that combined the implementation of a new dynamics of a capitalist accumulation in Brazil based on the super exploitation of labor, a setback in the national social fabric with the clear attempt to destroy our people's self-esteem. Laws of perspective and hope. I have said that Brazil has been since 2016 under foreign occupation and on its knees in the face of successful hybrid war that is calling into question Brazilian nationality itself. Here is the question, my point of view. Lula's return to the presidency of the Republic is the first step, only the first step, towards the resumption of Brazilian national construction. This resumption requires overcoming a set of contradictions that have been accumulating both throughout our history and what has happened to our country recently. Jair Bolsonaro cannot be, in my point of view, I think Jair Bolsonaro cannot be judged as a madman in power. He is an expression of one of the most irrational elites in the world. The Brazilian elite has been characterized since the first Lula government as an anti-national and anti-popular force, and has very calmly embraced the fascism as a refuge in the face of the popular rise occurred during the Lula and Dilma governments. I remember now the Polish economist Michel Kalecki said that the bourgeoisie tolerate state intervention in the economy up to the limit of the full employment. Some think that would call into question its rate of profit given the greater bargaining power of the working class. It is the moment that the elites in Brazil in general embrace fascism. The 2016 coup that led the Bolsonaro election in 2018 was the project, among other points, that involved Brazil's growing rapprochement with China, Russia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, India, and the inter-global South. Of an increase in income participation of the workers in relation to the national GDP, and a drop in the corporation profit rate between 2011 and 2014. Most of the Brazilian bourgeoisie at this time achieved tactical and strategic unity with broad support for imperialism and an operation commanded by imperialism itself, Operation Car Wash, not only overthrow the Brazilian constitutional government, but also destroy a good part of the industrial capital of one of the most dynamic capitalist countries in the world in the last 100 years, and put our country in a situation similar or a market related in H. Brumer of Louis Bonaparte, war of all against all. This is the situation, the Brazilian situation now, in my point of view. What has come since then is a setback that hits the very foundations of Brazilian capitalism and throws millions of Brazilians into the arms of the unemployment and hungry. The pandemic has made it clear how much my country has turned into a formation that is thinking on the contours of the worst in the United States. Ultra-individualism, obscurantism, and the rise and the far-right sects were directly responsible for the death of almost 700,000 Brazilians from COVID-19. Precisely, the country awarded internationally for its ability to vaccinate thousands of people in a short time. In the international arena, Brazil, a stronghold of major international issues, has become a pariah. Our allies abroad are Trump's United States, the terrorist states of Israel and Hungary, for example. In Latin America, we took an active part in the coup attempts in Venezuela and in the coup in Bolivia, breaking an old tradition of our foreign policy of no interference in internal affairs of other countries. This year is a very special to Brazilian nation. This is the year that marks the bicentennial of our independence. For many, our country needs a new proclamation of independence. I believe that we must resume our civilizing process, starting with the independence of Portugal, the abolition of slavery, the proclamation of the Republic, and the 13 revolutions, and the election in the Lula in 2002. The civilizing scope of Lula's return not to Brazil, but also to the whole of Latin America that lives under the extensive blackmail of imperialism and more than ever needs unity to deal with our real problems. Let's take the case of the Argentina economic crisis and the Venezuelan political crisis. Both issues demand a progressive Brazilian government committed to the Latin American unity and solidarity. Both issues don't find solutions, the questions of Argentina, Venezuela, don't find solutions within national frameworks and imperialist interference. It demands a Brazilian under a progressive government capable of pointing out new directions for our continent in a solidary way. A Brazil led by progressive political force is material real in the struggle for a multipolar world based in new policies of world power. The world is entering in an era of systemic chaos where anything can happen, including the victory of barbarism over socialism. The world demands the presence of a free, sovereign, progressive Brazil as a bastion of world peace and even of resistance to imperialist barbarism. Internally, I have said that the task of national reconstruction will have a generational character. The destruction of the institutions built since the revolution of 1930, and that made our country leave the Middle Age and and enter in contemporary age in just 50 years, from 30 to 18, and that the Lula and Dilma governments were rebuilding, will require at least a generation to be rebuilt. I believe that Brazil will need about 20 years to reposition itself in front of itself and the world. It's necessary to rebuild an entire national ideological framework of a patriotic and anti-neoliberal character. And it will not be easy given the great penetration of neoliberalism in every part of state institution in Brazilian society itself. Even the reconstruction of Brazilian industrial capitalism will demand a political force that the progressive camp has not been able to accumulate until now. Lula's return is just the beginning of a new national struggle, an epic similar to the one that brought us independence 2 centuries ago, and the evolution of the 30s. The general laws of the movement ensured of over 200 years of history of construction of our nationality indicates that without broad political vision, we will have little capacity for profound change. In a country like Brazil, the exercise of radicalism must be combined with political bread and the heterogeneous force around a common strategic objective. This is how we know decisive movements in our history have been, and this is how it's at this very moment when Lula gathers broad political force to defeat Bolsonaro and fascism. Brazil lives in times of great darkness, the most dramatic moment in our history. Lula's return is a flame of hope, not only of hope for the future of my dear homeland. It's hope for the very future of humanity. Thank you so much.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and want to like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.